It truly brings me great pleasure to introduce to you Alan Tutt. He is a very magical being that I've known for about a year now. And we were just talking in the break about how we're getting to experience one another now in a different space. And what's magical about that is we're seeing each other through more aspects of each other's selves now. And that's a powerful place to be. So, Alan Tutt is the author of Choose to Believe, a practical guide to living your dreams. He is committed to helping people tap into the unlimited power within them and channel it in ways that allow them to enjoy immense success with ease. His work has focused on both manifesting and hypnotic change work, and he has a unique ability to help his clients solve insurmountable problems in mere minutes. His newest program, Celestial Brilliance: 6 Steps to Unlock Your Creative Genius, can help anyone produce their best work with ease. So happy that you're here, Ellen.
I'm very happy to be here.
And now what, right?
Yeah, let's have some fun. I mean,
Uh,
that's what we do, right? We have
it
fun.
is. It is. So let's kind of you know, in the comments, in the questions that you've been introducing with some of the other guest speakers, we get the sense of this beautiful soul who has been on a journey of self-discovery. You have no idea how much emotions that brings up in me. It wants me to cry with joy for you and with you. As it is probably likely it has not been an easy journey. What were one or two defining moments that brought you on this journey to this space?
Okay, yeah. That definitely covers a wide range. um, I- okay, let's look at just a couple of quick points as far as what brought me into the space. Okay, back in junior high, I was really interested in reading ghost stories. So every time I went to the school library, I'd check out a new book and I'd keep checking out different ghost stories. And then one day I was at the card catalog and I'm looking for something new to read. And I find a reference to something that was not in the fiction section of the library, it was in the nonfiction section of the library. And the thought that went through my mind is, my goodness, this stuff could actually be true. And it's like that opened my mind to a whole nother world. And so I went over to that section of the library and I'm looking at all sorts of things about magic and miracles, the power of your subconscious mind, ESP, palm reading, astrology, all of this stuff. And it's like, wow. And from that moment on, I was really hooked on this whole world. And so that set me off on a whole different direction on my pathway. Uh, Next point that I want to bring up is that after I went through high school, I had a full tuition scholarship to DeVry University to study electrical engineering. I wanted to learn how to design computers. I had difficulty managing my time, so my life was like a house of cards that came tumbling down. Everything was lost, and I eventually ended up homeless, walking the streets all night, trying to find some sense of what can I do to turn things around for me. And this is a story that a lot of my current subscribers, followers, members have heard a number of times. We have new people here, so I'm going to share a brief part of it. The morning after walking the streets all night, I found myself in a bookstore because, as you can tell, I love books. So I was looking for an answer. And as I'm looking through the book, I'm looking through the New Age section. That didn't really come up with anything. I went to the self-help section and I found, let's see, this book here, Joseph Murphy, The Miracle of Mind Dynamics. And as I stood there in the bookstore and I'm reading through the book, it's talking about the power of faith, the power of belief, and choosing to believe that what you want to happen in your life is actually happening. And as I read through there was a thing, 4-step, 60-second action plan, which basically starts out saying, God is the only thing that exists in the world, in the universe. God is all. Second step, because God is everything, there is nothing else besides God. There is no obstacle that God cannot overcome. Third step, see and feel God moving through you as the answer. And so I imagine this powerful spirit flowing through my head into my chest, out through my arms, taking shape into my hands as the money that I needed at that time, because that was what I felt. And then fourth step was to give thanks for the answer to come. And because had gone without sleep, I had gone without food for several days, I was not in a condition to argue with it mentally, consciously, to question any of it. I just accepted it and went with it. And then when I was done with that, it's like, well, I can't buy the book. I'm going to put it back on the shelf. I left. Later that day, as I was walking down the sidewalk, I saw something on the ground. It's like, wait a minute, did I see what I think I saw? And I reached down, I picked it up, $70 in cash. I had experienced my first miracle. And that was enough at that point in time to get a place to stay, get something to eat, and the next day go back and buy this book and two others. So that was a major turning point for me. There were a lot of other times when I was playing with these ideas that I saw positive results. There were also times when I thought I was doing everything right and nothing happened. And so I knew that there was an answer. I was committed to understanding it to the point where I could duplicate it. And so that set me off on a long pathway. The next part that I want to bring up as far as where I'm at today, a few years ago, I was working with a coaching client trying to help him develop the ability to manifest things into his life. And he was like I was back in the beginning, always questioning things. Where's the logic in this? How's this connected? And he didn't feel that spiritual connection that I've learned to feel over time. And so for whatever reason, I was unable to help him reach the point of seeing the miracles for himself. And I started questioning myself, and it's like, okay, I need to be better at what I do so that I can help more people. And then that's when I realized that this area called hypnosis, which was something I'd looked into here and there, I was playing with it. There were people that said that my little 5-minute guided meditations and workshops did wonderful things for them. I needed to do a deep dive into this subject, and I did. I've spent 2 years studying from the best people I possibly can, and I have learned so much that has enabled me to, as you said in the introduction, help people make changes that they originally thought was impossible, and to do it in just a matter of minutes. And that has been such an incredible thing to be able to witness, that just saying a few words and structuring my ideas in a particular way, and then seeing transformations happen in front of my eyes.
I want to do a mic drop for you as well. Christina and I are like the bobbly head girls here. Again, there is no mistaking as to why we are together in this conversation, truly, Alan. It's again to the things that you are saying about it's one small simple thing. It was the simple step of walking into that bookstore. It was the simple step of grabbing that book. It was the simple step of seeing that there was just the 60-second thing to read kind of thing. And then walking out of there a changed person already, right? I love that you said about your time. For me, it was sitting at my desk as a child, well, actually as a 16-year-old in my home and thinking there's got to be a simpler way. So what is my message? That it's simple steps. So your message is so powerful here because we are being invited to If you don't believe, find a way to believe. Talk yourself into believing. That's one of the things, like with when I do the mantra work, did you think I believed that I could be open with no expectations and no limitations when I first started doing it? I believed the possibility. Now I understand it and live it. I'm past the point of believing it anymore. I'm understanding and living it. And that's what you're inviting people to do. Wow. I'm so glad
Yeah,
you.
and as far as the believing aspect, because I did start out as that left brain logical thinker, always looking for the practical side of how does this stuff work, I've been able to see where those connections are so that when I am working with someone, they don't have to take that big leap of faith and say, okay, I don't understand it, but I'm going to do it anyways. Because I can show them that even if you discount everything non physical, take the spiritual out of it completely, this stuff still works. And here's why. Because when we start to think a different way, we start to respond to outer situations in a different way. We start to show up in life a different way. We start to say things differently. We hear things differently. We see things differently. And because we are different, then our interaction with the world around us is different, and the world has something different to respond to. And that's where the transformation happens. What would have taken us this direction, because we've changed, we're now going this direction, and because we're on a different pathway, we're going to get to a different outcome.
I'm in awe right now. Where do I want to start with this? Bear with me a second. It's as though you're the icing on the cake in this conversation of this summit today, truly, Alan. I highly recommend for those who are who've been following along, who have run across this specific uh, recording, if you're watching the replay, is go and listen to all five guest speakers because we're all delivering the same message. We're all stepping into the energy of the. I'm the unique person that I am, and I'm delivering my message in this way. And each of the guest speakers have done that. They've delivered the exact same message in totally different words, in totally different dynamics, and in totally in authenticity of themselves. It is such a powerful thing to be witnessing as the person who's hosting this. Like I say, I'm in awe. With that in mind, I'm so inner child and inner dragon. Other people have said what they are in each of the guest speakers as well. What are your pillars? What are your pieces that you bring in?
Okay, I'm not exactly sure I understand the question in the
Okay,
way that I can respond to.
okay. Go in the way you think I'm asking,
Okay.
and we'll see. Okay, because I bet you any money.
Okay, I will interpret it however I interpret it. I
Okay.
see myself as two things. First of all, I see myself as the mad scientist. I'm going to try all sorts of different things. I'm going to experiment and figure out what works. But the other thing that I've learned to see myself as, and I want to put it in those specific phrases because in the beginning, I could not see myself in this way whatsoever. But now I see myself as an artist. I work with people's minds, ideas, and experiences in a way that creates something beautiful within them. And that is now my art.
Mm. May I offer you something? Okay. I need to take a breath to this because to me it feels really big. Before we introduced you and came on recording, we were in the depth of a really cool conversation that was about 5 minutes long and about claiming oneself and really stepping into the energy of that. I heard you say the mad scientist, and oh my gosh, that resonated so powerfully. Holy, that's what I'm talking about there, Alan. Okay,
Mhm.
claiming who you are. Now, the human concept is going to be, oh, I can't claim I'm mad. Okay, then okay. Under, you know, grasp that and play with that and mold that as you will. Then I heard you say you're a artist or an artist. No, you're first of all, it's the artist, okay? Claiming that because you are you. You are Alan. So it's the artist, okay? Then I heard you say something about the mind and helping people to understand, not necessarily you molding their mind, but you help them to understand. Can you be the mind artist? Like, what does that feel like when I say that? Or some in corporation or some iteration of that. Like, this is beginning to embody what we were talking about off camera for that couple minutes. This is what you are already offering people to do in themselves without giving it a direct path or something like this. Like, holy wow. And you'll see in the comments that Christina's offered you this concept of Merlin, magic working with the elements. So when you think of that and the mind artist, oh, what does that feel like for you? That you've been just gifted. That's not me. That's being
Yeah.
channeled information for you. You recognize that, right?
Yeah, I guess to be completely honest, the response that I get from within is that mind artist, there are a lot of people who could be described with those terms. And so I would like to find something that's a little bit more unique. Now, as far as artists, the title that I've kind of created for myself is Power Keys Artist because I am the artist to unlock the power that is within the person I'm working with.
I love that. This is what was speaking about then. Then when we talk about what was said before, we were, and just to bring everybody in on that conversation, it is this moving past the concept of the humanness, feeling like I can't be that big, that that's egotistical, that's arrogant, whatever it is. If Alan chose to step into, because he's already using it, however, if he chose to claim it and own it, even more so, and this is the offering that's being offered to you. And I apologize for hijacking your hour here.
Well,
Um,
this discussion is going a little bit different direction than the others, but I'm okay with it. I'm perfectly fine.
and this is what you're offering other people as well. I just want to be very clear about that. What if you step into the energy of claiming to be the Power Keys artist, and you claim that wholeheartedly with everything that you are, the essence of what you now are offering everybody else amps up and amplifies in such a remarkable, powerful way. And you're already offering that. So it comes back to a conversation that we had either with Jenny or Suzanne about um, uh, loving oneself, and other people will love you because you love yourself. We all know that people love us, right? However, when I love myself, oh my gosh, like I spoke about my relationship with my husband, how much different it is, how much more powerful it is. So it's the same thing with the handle, if you will, or the
Mhm.
identity or the aspect of. Thank you for letting me just kind of
Yeah. Actually, I'm really glad that you brought that up again because I was thinking there was something along that direction that I could share with that, and that is the whole idea of self-esteem, self-worth, being able to value yourself. This is an ongoing process, and I think it's probably an ongoing process for 95, 98% of us. And what's really interesting is that there have been numerous times in my life that I thought that, oh, I've already got that covered. I feel great about myself. I see myself in a really good light. And I guess the story that I want to bring out right now is that back in, what was it, 2011, I think, somewhere around there, I was working on creating a set of subliminal recordings, except for they weren't going to be subliminal because if you actually stopped and listened to them, you could hear the suggestions. So it was kind of a not so subliminal thing. And I was working with a test group of people that I had through my website, 185 people around the world. And one of the modules for that was about self-worth, self-esteem. And I created a list of affirmations and belief statements that go towards boosting self-esteem. And my concept at the time was, I've got this. I know what I need. I'll do I'll put this together. But once the recordings were done, I'd always listen to them just to check for the quality and how it works. And if I listen to it for a period of time, does anything get to be a little bit unnerving? Can it be improved some way? Okay, so I listened to those recordings for a couple of hours. And then within a day or two, I noticed myself feeling lighter. It's like, wait a minute. I'm already good with this. How can I be getting better at this? And then another time, sometime later, again, my concept of myself is I already have good self esteem. I've already done that work. But then someone told me that the reason that I was pricing my stuff as low as I was, and my logic was, well, I feel they're valuable. I'm not sure if everyone else sees them as valuable. But then they told me that the way I think other people are thinking reflects back to how I'm thinking. And it's like, wow, that's an idea to consider. And so I realized that even then there was still more work to do. So I guess the part of the conversation that I'm bringing out here is that we all can work on our self-esteem, our self-value, and see ourselves as being more than we thought we were. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about before. Part of my message is letting people know that you are a divine being. There is at least an aspect, you don't have to accept it that everything about you, but there's at least one aspect of you that is absolutely perfect.
Mm.
And yes, we can go into a discussion about how everything about you is absolutely perfect because it exists and it exists for a reason. But I don't ask people to accept to that level, but just to understand that you do have a divine aspect to you that is absolutely perfect. And as long as you focus on expressing that part of you, life is going to change in major ways.
You said something very, very powerful there that has been mentioned in a couple other conversations over this summit. And I want to say it back again so people catch what I caught. You said something along the lines, and I'm not a good verbatim person, so thank you for bearing with me. In essence, what you said was that you it was about the money and how much you were offering things out at, and that it had been reflected back to you. There was this thing happening basically with the mirror is what it was. And that was so powerful. I think that was Suzanne Bloom's conversation. It's that, and I think Christina's alluded to it. I think we've all kind of come back around to this same piece, and you've brought it up again. So it's this, here I am, and this is who I believe me to be. So that's what everybody sees. So everybody is reflecting that right back at me. This is what we see of you. But the reality is they're actually seeing something different. They're not actually seeing that, but that's what you think they're like. It's a wild world that we live in. So I love that you're in such total alignment with the conversation today. And I think you answered my really kind of bizarre question in the most beautiful way. Would you like to expand on any parts of that?
What was the original question?
Oh my gosh. Remember, I don't do the verbatim thing? I said I'm inner child, inner dragon. What are your things? And you did. You answered it with
Okay.
understanding about the mind, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And it comes down to what you're actually offering in your gift as well,
Right.
right?
Yeah, because the gift that I submitted to the giveaway event was all about making a fresh start. And as an earlier conversation revealed, have lots of experience of making fresh starts in my life. And so this is something that, yeah, there's a lot of information that I've collected over time about how to do this and do it effectively. But the package that I have created as the free gift, it's a package of 10 hypnotic recordings. Each one's about a half an hour long. Each one's focused on something slightly different. But the essential thing to realize is that when you want life to change,
Mm.
when you want the experience of life to be different, just as others have said here, it all starts with you. It all starts within. And when you are able to change within yourself, the mirror, which is life, can reflect something new. And so the whole thing about these 10 recordings, the first one is just realizing that you can make a fresh start because we
Mhm.
have to believe in the possibility before we can manifest anything.
Love it.
The second recording is about choosing the persona through which you interact with the world. You may have been a certain way in the past, but that doesn't mean you have to be that now. You can choose to be whatever you would like to be. If you have been disorganized in the past, you can choose to be organized now. If you have been an introvert in the past, you can choose to be an extrovert now. If you have been the technician in the past, you can choose to be the artist now. You can choose to be whatever you want to be. And there are certain processes that you can do. Go within, touch into that divine essence within yourself or outside of yourself, whichever way, on that other dimension. Just connect with the divine aspect of who you are and use that divine power that is at your disposal to make those changes for you. It's not something you do on a conscious level because it's something you do on the inner level. There's a recording for expecting the best year ever so that you can manifest a series of wonderful experiences throughout the next 12 months. There's a recording to help you develop a powerful willpower if you think yours is weak. I can guarantee you that your willpower is plenty strong enough for anything you want to do. There's a recording to replace one habit with another. You can use it for any habit you want, and you can do it multiple times because guess what? It's a recording. You don't have to do it just once. There's a recording to increase your motivation to exercise if that's something you feel you need in your life. There's a recording for experiencing a flow of energy that just keeps going and going and going and going, that keeps you going for as long as you need. And as Christina was saying, when you are expressing your gift, the energy is there. And that's part of it. So there's that. There's a recording to help you shift the way that you choose foods and your eating habits. Something that's specific on that, if that's, again, depends on what you're looking for. This is a collection that serves many different people. There's a recording for choosing how your body will be manifest moment to moment so that if there's something you want to change about yourself, if you want to change the quality of your vision, if you want to change the composition between muscle, fat, if you want to change the clarity of your skin, if you want to change anything about you, you can tap into that and work with that. And then the last recording in the set is what I call the skeleton key, which is the core process behind change. And I lead you through that core process, leaving it open to you to decide what do you want to change.
Mm.
And as a collection, as a set, this set of recordings can literally help you make any kind of fresh start you want to make.
Alan, I am so excited for you. Like, really just proved a beautiful point amongst you and I even. If you guys have watched the Spotlight with Alan, it was at the bottom of all the mailings that have gone out for the last week, 2 weeks, or what have you. Alan does start to speak about his gifts on one of the recordings. And it was so interesting because I had sent him a message and he didn't see the message until he was done, but he felt this energy at a point during his expressing of the gifts, the recordings, and you just did that so beautifully there. You you simple is so much more easier for people to understand. You gave beautiful little cues in those points where people might just need that little touch more without, you know, overwhelming. And I see you. I see your growth happening on a day-to-day basis. Beautiful. Thank you, Alan. Wow.
Yeah, growth, change, transformations. I mean, it's yeah. As Christina says, she said her past was a hot mess. I'm probably getting into more of that hot mess because wh- when you approach life from the standpoint of that, letting that inner child come out to play, the toys get strewn all over the floor. One thing gets left while you move on to something else, and then that gets left someplace and you move on to something else, and eventually you get tired of doing all that, and then that's when you go back through to pick up your toys. And right now I'm in play mode, and so I keep moving from one thing to another.
I want to expand on what you just said because I think it's really powerful to recognize. Change is exactly what it says. It is change. It is unlikely that change is going to be all cotton candy, bubble gum, and your favorite toy. When I was gifted the Dragon Ally in October, November of 2023, from then to current time, I have had so many things happen to me. I have had a physical injury that was pretty encompassing. I have had two of my parents, my mother and my stepdad, have major medical issues and was involved in caregiving. I have had, and I mean, I can list on. I can give you another five major things that have happened in this last time frame. The thing is that I kept moving forward one simple step at a time. And when that was my mess for that time frame. So I love that you came back and alluded to what Christina had said. Our lives are going to be messy. You know, we do a bathroom reno and it's like, oh my God, that was one of the things actually. Our carpenter fell through the floor. I mean, the list can go on and on. So what you're saying here, Alan, is so beautiful and in such alignment with who you are, who you've become, what you offer. And I see the power keys artist that you are with that. What more do you want to just emphasize if you were to introduce yourself to me as the Power Keys artist, what do you want people to walk away with?
I want people to walk away with the understanding that they have within themselves the resources, the power, the wisdom to accomplish anything they want to accomplish. And the only thing they may need is a little guidance, a little help to access what they already have. And that is what I do. I help people access the resources within themselves to make the changes they want to make so that they can live the life they want to lead and enjoy it.
Mhm. Wow. I want to give a little plug for what Alan's offering with the hypnotic recordings. In 2015, 16, I was going through a lot of different things, all to do with physical injuries and things because my guides were going, hey, yo, at me, and I was not paying attention. And the beginning of my coming out of that was listening to recordings. What I'd love for you to do now, Alan, is maybe give some direction on that because when people think, oh, I need to listen to recordings. They think, oh, I got to set aside this time and I need to sit down and do it at this time and yada, yada, yada. I express to you my excitement about your gift because of how I chose to listen to meditations and hypnotic pieces. So, what would you like to share with people about the how to?
Okay, as far as how to get the most out of hypnotic recordings, the absolute number one most important thing is to set aside the time and focus on the process 100%. If you're listening to it in the background while you're doing other things, you're not going to get nearly as much out of it. You might get a little bit, but not nearly as much because the process of hypnosis is about focused attention. And the more you can focus your attention, the more powerful your mind becomes. One of the analogies that I've used for years and years and years, it's like your mind can be like a light bulb where your attention is everywhere and the light is spewing everywhere, and it does little more than just light up the room. However, if you take the same amount of power that is expressed with a 60-watt light bulb or a 100-watt light bulb, and you turn that into a laser where it's very tightly focused along one pathway using only one frequency of light, that 60-watt laser can burn through steel. It can do things that a 60-watt light bulb spread all over the place just can't do. And our minds are the same way. When they are focused on one thing completely, you are so much more powerful and effective than if you were to try to divide your attention between two different things. That's one of the major lessons I learned in manifesting, is that when I was in the process of attempting to manifest something, if I was also analyzing what I was doing at the same time, my mind was split and it didn't work. In order for it to work, I had to be 100% in it. Absolutely. So as far as listening to hypnotic recordings, that is the very first thing, to be completely 100% focused. The other thing is, and it really depends on the quality of the person who made the recordings, because some hypnotists are better than others. And that's why I spent 2 years improving my abilities to do this and to become the artist at it, is because I couldn't just do it as a technician. As a technician, it's like, yeah, you can piece things together, but the flow isn't there. As an artist, the flow is there and it goes perfectly from one thing to another. So the other aspect of hypnosis, it's about focused attention and it's about having an open mind to accept the suggestions that are given to you. Just like I did in the bookstore. When I found that book, I was so tired. I was so out of my conscious mind. My conscious mind probably wasn't even there. I was there. I wasn't arguing against it. I wasn't questioning, how is this going to work? Again, it's about focused attention. I accepted the suggestions that were given to me, trusted that the process was going to work. And if you listen to a hypnotic recording with full focus and full trust that it's going to work, you're going to get the most out of it.
One more question on that. What if a person was to fall asleep during it?
There are to be honest, I get that question quite a lot because a lot of people say, well, I was listening to this and I don't remember any of it, but I woke up at the end. And my response is, if you woke up at the end, you heard the exit part. If you heard that, you heard everything else that was in there, which means that it was working for you. Now, if you were tired and you actually did fall asleep and woke up an hour later, okay, maybe you did actually fall asleep and maybe you missed some of it. So go back to it when you're a little bit better rested. And if you wake up at the end, you heard it and you just simply forgot what you heard.
I am so glad I asked that question. Those were such powerful questions. Does the people who are currently with us right now have any questions? Please do feel
Yeah,
free
I
to.
love questions.
Yeah, yeah. Raise your hand with the react button down at the bottom if you have a question. We'd love to hear it. Again, I just am so glad that you're here.
I'm having fun.
Yeah, yeah, and we tend to have fun now, don't we? Hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Christina. And then Barb. Sorry, Barb, I didn't see you were unmuted, but go ahead, Christina, and then Barb.
I think I'm pulling an Alan. I don't think I have so much as a question as I do an observation. And as a trained hypnotherapist myself, I can say in perfect alignment with Alan is that surrendering of that awareness is so important. And it's where the magic really, really happens. And there's such a vulnerability that happens when you give yourself that permission to lean in and listen to a very gifted individual in this process versus that skilled individual. I would be one of those skilled individuals, not one of those gifted individuals. And Alan, with that gift, has this beautiful, fluid way of doing this. And I think that it's easy to see things as parlor tricks versus actually the sensation that happens when you allow yourself to be that open. Um, yeah, I just, as someone who's experienced it, has it's just that be vulnerable to allow yourself to have that process and trust that Ellen is going to just carry you through this incredibly beautiful experience. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to be here in your presence, Ellen.
Thank you, thank you. And you brought up another thing too, as far as the difference between different hypnotists and different recordings. The reason I keep bringing that up every once in a while is because when I was going to those bookstores looking for more information, I bought quite a number of cassette tapes from the bookstores that were hypnosis recordings. And I would come home and I would listen to them. I would be in full focus with it, and they still didn't do much for me. And there are times now when I will find somebody online and I'll listen to the recordings and I'll even put myself into that hypnotic state and listen to what they're having. And it's like, okay, I'm not feeling anything from this. So there is a definite difference between one hypnotist and another. It's not just the tool that's being used, it's how that tool is being used. And that's where I was able to finally see myself as the artist because it wasn't just the tool anymore, it was me using the tool.
Oh my gosh. You are so awesome. I love this, Alan. Thank you.
Now,
Barb.
I will say I never got that way with photography. I was in photography for quite a long time, but I was always the technician there.
Okay. Beautiful description. Barb, what's your question or comment?
Oh, well, I had one, and then of course two more came up in the subsequent conversations. But just going back to the business of falling asleep, or do you still get the message? And but before that, is it important or does it matter if you particularly set an intention before you listen to the recording, or by doing so, are we limiting ourselves to like we're sort of creating an affirmation as opposed to being open to that subliminal message? Now, I gather with the different topics, you've already categorized that, like, getting organized or losing weight, or, so there's probably going to be, we're probably going to pick one or the other, and it will take
Yeah,
us on
setting an
that journey.
intention is a very powerful part of the process. In fact, one of the things that I've learned over the last couple of years is that the process of self-hypnosis, where you're doing it for yourself, works best when you start off with an intention and say, this is the problem I'm going to work on. This is the thing that I want to change, and I want my deeper mind to do the work for me. And then you just simply relax, go into that very focused state, and just let the work happen outside of your conscious awareness. And that can be a very powerful process. There's also the idea of the placebo effect, where if you expect a certain result, it really doesn't matter what happens. You're going to get that result. And there are some people who create hypnotic recordings with that understanding that, yeah, if they expect a result, it really doesn't matter. But I approach it as if it actually does.
Do you have a follow-up, Barb, or was that good?
Just the idea, not to say, anyone's better than another, and some people are using these tools in a different manner. Just to throw in the idea of the vibrational level. And sometimes, other people may be offering a tool, and as you say, you've listened to plenty, and obviously some click and some don't. whether that's necessarily a comment on the adeptness or the professionalism of that person, if they didn't get through to you. Sometimes I'm wondering if it's, yeah, like we all have our favorites. We all click with some people as instructors or trainers and whatnot. And obviously with the genuine gift that you're offering, that vibration is probably very broad, I'm going to say. So you're probably reaching maybe a lot more people than some people do who aren't allowing that heartfelt vibration to come through. And then again, sometimes it's just, a tone of voice. There are some people, very well known
Yep.
people, but I
Yeah.
really don't like
Yeah, that
listening
brings
to their
up
voice.
two different things that I can say in response to that. First of all, like you said, everyone has their own energy, everyone has their own personality, and sometimes we just click with someone and sometimes we don't click with someone. And if you are working with someone or if you're listening to a recording of someone and that person clicks for you, you're going to respond much better than if it doesn't click for you. So personality and style has a significant impact here as well. The other thing that I can bring into this, and this is again something I learned over the last couple of years, is that when I go into my own hypnotic state and I ask for guidance from my own deeper divine mind to say, okay, this is the outcome we want to create for this person, I can let the intuitive mind pick up on so many details on the person I'm working with, or if I'm doing a recording, everybody that I've ever known. My intuitive mind will look at all that information, the outcome that we want to create, and then it will guide the words to create that outcome. So by going within that deeper state myself, I can channel that information that's not coming from my conscious mind, but coming from that divine mind within, which knows far more than I do. And I can tell you that there have been a number of these recordings that I've created where I did that and I was surprised by what came out. It's like, really? Wow, that's better than I expected.
I love that. There again, you being in here with us, I'm absolutely loving this. So Regina has a question as well. Does it also work when you're seriously ill, and she's really emphasized so much want to be healthy again?
Right. Okay. So this starts getting into the manifesting side of things. In order to release past experience, we have to let go of it. When we are desperate for a change, sometimes we get into this pattern of holding on tighter than will allow the change to happen. So we have to be able to let go of it first. Now, the idea of moving away from pain, that is something that, at least in my experience, has been a little difficult to let go of sometimes. So there have been times when I've had a toothache and all I can think about is the tooth that was hurting. And so pain can be one of those things that can be a little more difficult to let go of. However, as long as you have the belief that something is going to change, something is going to shift, I am setting an intention for this experience to change and I am expecting a change. Again, going back to the power of expectation, the power of faith, or as some people will say, the power of the placebo effect. I mean, it's all kind of related to each other. When you expect the change, then you can be open to the change, and being open is a significant part of the process. You have to be open to it. So a lot of it comes down to, I'm thinking about something that comes through the Abraham Hicks material. If you are at this level and you want to be at this level, you don't have to jump there all at once. Just get to this level first. then get to that level, then get to that level. And eventually, one step at a time, you can cross that gap and just release it as much as you can for whatever time you can, and have the intention, hold on to the belief that it will change. The past problem will go away. The pain will go away. The health problem will go away and rebuild itself. And obviously, with anything that's dealing with a physical issue, following the traditional medical suggestions from the best experts will definitely help. Um, it's interesting how many people, and I'm not saying that anybody here has ever done it, but I have run into people who will say, "Yeah, I'm supposed to do that, but I'm not going to. I need the miracle, and I'm going to wait for the miracle to happen." It's like, well, yeah, maybe that'll work, but make it easy for it to happen.
Yeah. I want to say a couple things. One is one of the things that have found powerful around pain, I want to go in that direction first, is the acknowledgement and the acceptance that I am in pain is a massive place to start, because you can't get rid of pain until you acknowledge that you actually have pain. You can say you have pain, but you haven't given it the acknowledgement. And acknowledging it is massive. Another thing that I wanted to say, oh gosh, it just ran away. Oh, okay, what was it? It was something along the lines of, yep, it's gone.
Well, one thing I can add to that is that there is an NLP hypnotic technique for dealing with pain where you identify a symbol for the pain. It's like, if it were a color, what color would it be? If it had a size and a shape, what size and shape would that pain be? Identify it in that way, and then imagine it shrinking. Imagine the color draining out of it. And as you do that, you are giving your deeper mind a message that, okay, I understand I have this pain, but I don't want this pain, take it away. And then you can use that symbol as a lever so that your deeper mind will do the work for you. So you don't have to do it on your own.
I love that. I use a dial aspect with regards to amping up your abilities or what have you. I do remember what I was going to say. It feels like it wants to elude me again. Bi- oh, yes. Also, too, and this may not necessarily be with regards to the pain piece. However, in the grand scheme of things, what you are asking for may be such a foreign concept to the very essence of who you are in that space. Being able to being ready for it is how I actually want to word that, is entirely different. So I knew I was going somewhere with the inner child thing. I didn't know it was going in the inner dragon direction. Okay, totally never did. That blindsided me in a really big way. And it just like probably your whole trajectory, Alan. Like who knew back when you were walking the streets that this is where you would be today, right? Like you didn't know that, right?
Not at
And
all.
if somebody had told you back then that you were going to be that, you're just not even ready for that. Like there's no way to comprehend how to be that. So we are being invited in that step thing that Alan just did is preparing you as well to be that. In the chat, it was asked, do I say I'm healthy or I'm going to be healthy? There's a whole couple different trains of thoughts with regards to that. Personally, I am at the point in my energy where I feel very confident saying I am in many of the things that I am. Yes, there are things that I may slip into the other type of framing where I'm going to be something instead. Um, and that's only because I may not have reached that point in my own existence where I'm willing to accept that I'm capable of being that. Wow! Did you hear what I just said?
Hmm.
Holy Dinah, that I'm not willing to accept that I'm capable of being that. That there is your answer right there. Okay. If you are uncomfortable with saying, I am specifically going to do this, then it's because you're not ready to accept that you'll ever be that. Wow. You
Yeah,
heard it here.
and that's where I started with a lot of things too, is especially in that doubtful, logical, how is this ever going to work mindset. It's like I can't say that I'm healthy if I were in pain, if I had an experience of illness of some kind. I would not have been able to accept that statement. I would not have been able to say it with a straight face. I would feel like I was lying to myself, and that feeling of lying to yourself will actually cause it to backfire on you. So you have to be able to focus on something that you can believe. And that's where Emile Coué's famous affirmation really comes into play. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Because as long as you can believe that things are going to improve, as long as you can believe that things are getting better, your belief will make it work. You have to go with what you can believe.
Okay, so there's two more things because of the comments that are running in that I need to highlight with this. One is something that Barb said about once you make a step in the right direction, in the direction you want to go, the next ones just fall into place because you have chosen to be in that forward motion of I am healthy. Okay, you will fall into that direction. And then what Christina said as well is super important. State your truth. I want you guys to see the bigger picture of what the state your truth is. Okay. It's not just I am healthy. The bigger truth here is really what, and I feel a lot of emotions coming up in this because this is my driving force behind me here. It's understanding that you are here as a soul living a human experience. Your truth is your soul. Your soul is healthy. That's your truth. So when you say I am healthy, you're speaking your soul truth. Oh my gosh, another mic
Yeah,
drop.
the whole category of new thought. There was this big distinction between fact and truth. It may be a fact that you are currently in pain or ill. That may be a fact of the current existence, but that has no truth in it. Because according to the New Thought philosophy, truth, with the capital T, can only be of God, can only be positive, can only be loving, can only be perfect in every single way. That is the truth. And by focusing on what is truth, everything else is illusion, and illusion has to disappear. Only truth can remain.
Wow. Wow. Alan, I've said this a number of times today. There's no mistake to your being here. There's no mistake. And I look forward to a lot more further adventures with you. You can tell that the conversations that are had in our
Yeah, the chat's
circle.
definitely going.
I know it's like there are other questions. You know what? If you are you still available?
Yeah, I can stick around.
Okay, so there was one, I'm going to slide back here. Okay, I answered that one because it was the I'm healthy, am I healthy? So let's slide back to this one here from Catherine. How do I maintain my belief in source? So much to deal with in life. And I think you and I can both answer this, but it's your spot, so go ahead and dive in first.
As far as maintaining a belief in source, there's two different ways to go with this. First of all, the first answer is going to be probably the easiest one for most people to accept, and that is it really doesn't matter. You don't have to believe in source. You have to believe that there are possibilities for something greater. Now, again, how that something greater actually manifests, again, if we take spirituality, metaphysics completely out of the picture, by changing who you are inside, you change how you interact with the world, which changes the way the world interacts with you. And so, even if that's all you can get to, that's enough. Now, if you can experience something that feels like source, And I do have some other recordings that do this very specifically. In fact, everyone who's on my mailing list, if you go to the link that Sandra gave earlier, sign up for that free gift, you will get links to other free things as well. I'm always changing what I'm giving away. I'm always giving different things away. There is another set of recordings that I've been giving away, one of which is that exact connecting with the divine essence within and having a direct personal experience with that. Because once you experience the divine, there's no question about it anymore. You don't have to maintain a belief because you will know it. And once you know it, it can never be taken away from you.
I want to give an example of this. And Catherine, I also want to suggest to you and every single listener, if this is the first one that you've listened to, or if you've listened to one or two of the others, is go and listen to all 5 recordings at the end, like whenever you have the chance, because every single one of them delivers the same message in entirely different ways. You will hear so many different aspects of this. So if you are unable to catch it and believe it in Alan's words, you may in one of the other speakers. Highly recommend that you go listen to this. So what Alan's referring to is this. I often hear people speak about where they were at this point in their life, and it was so incredibly magical, and they can't get that feeling back. It's oftentimes is because they are failing to recognize that they are so far past that the next experience is actually they've already lived in that frequency, because when they experience it, that's the frequency they now become. And when you become that frequency, you can't experience that anymore over that frequency because you've already experienced it. So you have to go to the next frequency. And that's what you're alluding to, is that this, like, once you've felt it, all we're doing is like, if you go to the window and you see the northern lights, if you go to the window and you see the moon in full blossom, you are experiencing the divine source again in that moment. Okay. Another way of understanding this is, so I'm talking about that feeling, and Melis, we've come full circle right back to the feeling of something, right? I went to Sedona, and my very first trip to Sedona was back in 2018. And I was like, I need to go to this place because they're saying that there's an energy vortex here. And I went to this business, and I can even tell you on the map where it is. I can point it out, and they have a little sign above the bench that says energy vortex right here. And I was like, okay. So I prepared myself. I took off my backpack and I stood in that space, and I took a couple breaths. I closed my eyes and I took a couple breaths, and then I gave myself over to it. I allowed myself to be in that space, to let it show me what it was. I will never forget that for as long as I live, because that is what I say, and that is now what I do all the time. When I do guided meditations, channeled meditations, you guys are in that energy vortex that I witnessed and felt there, because that's what I am. That's what you are. Boom. Alan, can I say thank you again?
Very welcome. I'm always happy when I can help other people and make other people's lives better. And even if that's just providing some entertainment for a little while, I'm okay with that too.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Alan. Thank you to each and every one of the guest speakers that came here and truly made it possible to put this on. Uh, you know, uh, the invitation went out the way that it did, and those that chose to be here for this was divinely guided. As mentioned, there are messages in every one of these callers. We're all bringing in the same message to feel, to step into, to align, and we're all doing it in our own ways, which shows that you can each be unique in your own gifts and being as well. And with that in mind, go forth and be the unique being that you are, because you're creating a magical ripple. And this is how we change the world. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Take care.